If you are upgrading your Mac setup, you have two fascinating options: the highly reliable daily driver or the next generation architecture leap. We start with the 2025 MacBook Air. It represents the pinnacle of everyday portable computing and proven performance. Let's review it.
I went into this expecting a minor chip bump, the usual annual refresh. But after using this as my main machine, I feel like this is the first time in years that the base model MacBook Air is the one I can actually, unreservedly, recommend. It's not about the M4 chip, it's about what Apple finally bundled with it. Design and build quality. Let's get this out of the way. If you've seen the M3 or M2 MacBook Air, you've seen this one. It's physically identical. We have the same thin, squared-off aluminum body, which I still think is fantastic. It weighs 2.7 pounds, feels incredibly dense and premium, and opening the lid with one finger is still satisfying. The keyboard and trackpad are, as always, the best in the business. There's no change here, and that's a good thing. My one complaint remains. All the ports are on one side. I'm still living with two Thunderbolt 4 ports and a MagSafe charger, all crammed onto the left. Key features in action. I want to focus on three things because they're the only ones that really matter in day-to-day use. 1. The 16GB base RAM. This is the real headline. For years, I've had to tell people, get the Air, but please upgrade the RAM. Apple shipping 8GB of memory in a $1,000 plus laptop felt like a bad joke. With the M4 model, the $999 base configuration starts with 16GB of unified memory. This completely changes the experience. I'm a heavy multitasker. My workflow is a mess of Chrome tabs, Slack, Spotify, Figma, and multiple documents. On the 8GB M3 Air, I'd eventually hit a wall. I'd see that memory pressure in Activity Monitor, and things would start to lag. With this M4 and 16GB, I haven't been able to make it sweat. This is the single biggest real-world upgrade, and it makes the starting price feel like a genuine value. The M4 chip in a fanless body. The new M4 chip has a 10-core CPU, which is 2 more efficiency cores than the M3. Is it faster? Yes. Does it feel like a revolution? No. Where I did notice it was in heavier tasks. I ran a Windows 11 virtual machine through Parallels, and it felt snappier than it ever did on my M2 Air. When I was batch editing a set of 50 photos in Lightroom, the previews generated noticeably faster. But this is still a fanless machine. When I exported a 10-minute 4K video, the M4 was faster than the M3, but it got hot and you could feel it throttle back at speed. It's like having a sports car engine in a compact car body. It's powerful, but it can't redline for long. The 12-megapixel center stage camera. Finally, Apple upgraded the webcam sensor to 12 megapixels, and it now includes center stage. The image quality is definitely sharper and less grainy in low light than the old 1080p camera, but the center stage feature, which I thought was a gimmick, is surprisingly useful. I pace a lot in video calls, and the camera just smoothly follows me around in the frame. It's a small, polished feature that makes the Air feel more pro. Performance and daily reality. For my daily grind, this machine is silent, fast, and cool. The M4 chip paired with the 16GB of RAM means I never have to think about closing apps or tabs. It just works. The battery life is where I found a slight trade-off. Apple claims the same up to 18 hours as the M3. In my testing, which involves a lot of web browsing, document writing, and streaming, I was consistently getting about 13 to 14 hours. That is fantastic. It's more than a full day, but it does seem to be an hour or two less than what I got on the M3. My guess is the more powerful 10-core M4 chip just sips a little more juice. It's a trade-off I'm willing to make. The Apple Intelligence features are here, but they feel very beta. It's neat to have AI help rewrite an email, but it's not the game changer Apple is marketing it as. Right now, it's not a reason to buy. Limitations and trade-offs. My biggest complaint is the display. It's 2025, and this is still a 60 Hz panel. The Liquid Retina display is bright and beautiful, but after using competitors like the new Dell XPS 13 with its gorgeous OLED screen, the Air's display feels a step behind. The motion blur is noticeable when scrolling. The other trade-off is the base 256GB SSD. While Apple hasn't confirmed it, this is likely a single, slower NAND chip, just like in previous models. If you're moving large files, the 512GB model will be faster. For most people, you won't notice, but it's a corner Apple cut to hit that $999 price. Final verdict. This is the easiest MacBook Air recommendation in a long time, but with a few clear conditions. Buy this if you are upgrading from an Intel-based or M1 MacBook Air. This will be a revolutionary leap in performance and battery life. You are a student or professional who needs a silent, reliable, all-day machine for a mix of productivity and web-based tasks. You are going to buy the M3 and upgrade the RAM. This base model gives you that, plus a better chip for less money. Skip this if you already have an M2 or M3 MacBook Air. The M4 is not a big enough jump to justify the cost. You are a creative professional who regularly exports long videos or renders 3D models. You need a fan. Go for the MacBook Pro. You demand the best screen. That 60Hz panel is the Air's only truly budget feature in a premium body.
But what happens when you step up to the highly anticipated MacBook Neo architecture? Let's check out the tests and see how much faster your workflow gets. I spent the last week pushing the new $599 MacBook Neo to its absolute limits just to see when it would finally break. I opened 30 heavy Safari tabs, ran a 4K video render, and pushed an entire Apple Intelligence workflow all at the exact same time. The craziest part is that it did not freeze, it did not stutter, it simply kept going in complete silence. Apple just dropped a massive bomb on the laptop industry by putting an iPhone 16 Pro processor inside a fully functional aluminum Mac. But before you rush out to buy one for yourself or your kid, you need to understand exactly what Apple stripped away to hit this insane price tag: design and build quality. The first time I picked up the MacBook Neo, I fully expected it to feel like a cheap netbook. Apple is known as the undisputed category king of premium laptops with the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro. So seeing a $599 price tag usually implies plastic chassis and terrible hinges. I was completely wrong. The Neo uses a sturdy aluminum unibody that feels instantly premium and incredibly solid. At 2.7 pounds, it is wonderfully light. You can easily open the lid with one hand, which is a hallmark of premium engineering. I tested the citrus yellow colorway, and the color matching extends right onto the keyboard deck. It brings a playful energy that reminds me of the classic iBook days, but with a modern, cold-to-the-touch metal finish. However, when you compare the ergonomics directly to the MacBook Air, you do notice a few compromises. The edges are softer and more rounded, but the keyboard completely lacks a backlight. If you are someone who works in dimly lit coffee shops or late at night, that missing backlight is going to drive you absolutely crazy. Key features. Let us talk about what actually matters in daily use. The biggest story here is the A18 Pro chip. Yes, the exact same silicon powering the latest flagship iPhones is now running a full desktop operating system in macOS Tahoe. The real-world utility of this setup is genuinely surprising. My daily workflow involves heavy web browsing, managing spreadsheets, and basic photo editing. The A18 Pro crushed all of it without breaking a sweat. Because it's an incredibly efficient mobile processor, there are no fans inside this machine. It is dead silent. Another major feature is the repairability. I tore this machine down and I was shocked by what I found. Apple ditched the horrible industrial glue they've used for a decade. The battery is seated on a tray secured by 18 standard screws. You can easily swap out the keyboard, the camera, and the battery yourself. For a company that usually locks down its hardware, this is a massive win for the consumer and significantly extends the market value of the laptop over time.
Battery life is another huge practical benefit. I reliably got around 15 hours of continuous use on a single charge. And when it was finally time to plug in, I did not need a massive power brick. The Neo charges perfectly fine with a standard 20-watt iPhone charger, meaning you only need one tiny plug in your backpack. The competition battle. When we benchmark the MacBook Neo against its rivals, the comparisons get fascinating. Let us look at how the Neo stacks up against the category king of premium thin laptops, the new M5 MacBook Air. The Air gives you a much better screen, proper high-speed ports across the board, MagSafe charging, and a backlit keyboard. But you're paying almost double the price. If your main goal is writing emails, watching YouTube, and doing schoolwork, the Neo gives you the vast majority of the Apple experience for half the money. Then we have the high-end Chromebook market. For $599, you can buy a premium Chrome OS device from Lenovo or HP. The Neo absolutely destroys them. You're getting a full desktop operating system, native Apple Intelligence features, and seamless integration with your iPhone. The build quality of the Neo makes similarly priced Windows and Chrome laptops feel like disposable toys. The bitter truth. This brings me to the honesty protocol. Apple marketing focuses heavily on the accessible price and the fun colors, but they conveniently ignore the serious bottlenecks they engineered into this machine. First, let us talk about the memory. You are stuck with 8 GB of RAM. It's permanently soldered directly into the A18 Pro chip package. You cannot upgrade it later. While macOS is efficient today, as artificial intelligence applications grow more demanding over the next few years, 8 GB will become a severe limitation. The absolute deal breaker for many will be the port situation. You get 2 ports, but one is permanently crippled. You get 2 USB-C ports, but in a move that feels almost punishing, only one of those ports supports USB 3 speeds. The other port is hard-capped at ancient USB 2 speeds. Because there's no MagSafe, you have to use one of these ports just to charge the laptop. If you plug your charger into the fast port, you're left with a painfully slow connection for your external hard drive. This is a massive hidden frustration for anyone who needs to transfer files or use multiple accessories. The final verdict: buy or skip. I evaluate every device based on its true market value and long-term utility. The MacBook Neo is a landmark device, but it's not for everyone. Buy this if you are a student on a strict budget, a casual user who lives in web browsers, or someone who simply wants the most affordable entry point into the Apple ecosystem. For $599, the build quality and battery life are unmatched in the current market. Skip this if you rely on external drives, work in dark environments, or plan to do heavy video editing. The slow USB 2 port, the lack of a backlit keyboard, and the locked 8 GB of RAM will make you deeply regret your purchase. If you fall into that professional category, save up for the MacBook Air.
Which Mac should you buy? The 2025 MacBook Air remains the ultimate reliable workhorse that will handle 95% of users with ease. But if your workflow demands bleeding-edge processing power and you want to ride the wave of Apple's future architecture, the Neo is a worthy, jaw-dropping upgrade.